I am in San Diego, and it's a tense moment. I need to make sure my backpack got here. I got a new backpack because I've lost so much weight that none of my other packs fit me. So let's see if it's coming around. Here's where it all begins for some and where it ends for others. I got a sandwich with me at the grocery store. I picked up another bottle of olive oil. So I've got fuel, and I'm going to try and get a few miles in before I stop for the night. We had 10 people in the van, in the shuttle van. 7 of them are going to camp here. And 3 of us are going to hike on. So that's the plan, and I start my journey. Treadway is wonderful, and for having 2 solid days of rain, it sure dried out in a hurry. Way off in the distance, you can see the border wall, and somewhere along there is where I started my hike, not only today, but my hike for the PCT. And I've got a little stealth campsite here, and I'm getting ready to hit the hay. Because even though it's still daylight, with my flight, I'm still my time is out of whack. So I need to get to bed and get on the trail early. Feeling good. It was a great start to the hike. Amazing trail compared to what I'm used to, and good day all around. First morning on the PCT, and I want to get started with another story so you can follow along the trail with me as I talk. This is a bit of an R-rated story, and I didn't pick it out just because it's gruesome. There's a point I want to make. So it involves an 11-year-old girl named Sabrina Buey in North Carolina, and she was raped and murdered, and we'll get the ugliness out of the way right from the start. But the murderer suffocated her by stuffing her panties down her throat. I mean, it's just absolutely just a gruesome act. You can imagine it garnered a lot of attention from the locals and across the state and nation, actually. What happened in the investigation was there was a rumor mill going on at the high school or junior high, and there was some teenage girl who said that she heard talk about 4 people raping the victim, and she named 2 of them. One was Henry Lee McCollum and the other was Leon Brown. They were half brothers. They were also teenagers, and both Henry and Leon, I think it's Leon, it could be Leroy, they were intellectually challenged or impaired. Police brought them in and easily coerced confessions from them. From then on, it went downhill. At trial, they were charged with capital murder, and they spent, at least Henry spent 31 years on death row. And during that time, he watched 42 inmates leave for the execution chamber. After one of those executions, Henry attempted suicide. It is a brutal mind game to be on death row. There's a somewhat happy ending, if you could say anything is happy about this case. But they were exonerated by DNA evidence. The real killer was identified, and he was already serving time for having raped and killed another woman in a similar fashion. So just goes to underscore, when police get it wrong, there are serious consequences, because the true perpetrator is still out there, and they're almost always going to commit another crime. So the reason I'm bringing this story up, well, there's a couple. One, not only were they exonerated, but a jury awarded them $75 million in compensatory damages. I think they settled for somewhat less, but it's of little consequence because both Henry and Leon, their lives were destroyed. And the thing is, that money, whatever was actually paid out, it didn't come from the prosecutor or the cops themselves. It came from the taxpayers. And I fail to see the justice in that. Maybe there is, because as taxpayers, we need to pay attention to the criminal justice system, because ultimately we're the ones that put prosecutors in place. Prosecutors are elected in this country more often than not, and I think it's one of the few countries in the world wherein prosecutors are elected. So there's that money thing again, and DOJ should look into that and charge the people that are really responsible for getting it wrong and intentionally getting it wrong, especially in this case, because police fabricated evidence to put these 2 guys behind bars, and they hid evidence of their innocence. The other reason I'm calling attention to this case is that it's a good example of why the death penalty may just not be something that we should engage in. I say that because Anthony Scalia, when he was alive, he called attention to this case in particular and said it was so gruesome, and a case like this gives perfect justification for the death penalty. And so he couldn't have gotten it more wrong. These guys were innocent, and he's using their case as an example of why we should have the death penalty, when in fact it is a good reason why we shouldn't have it, because if we're playing God, we have to get it right, and we don't do a very good job of getting it right, and a lot of innocent people are killed. I hope you'll stop and think about this. Many of these issues are far, far away from what you're dealing with in your lives, but believe me, they sure have consequences for the people involved, who are usually poorly educated, they lived in poverty, and more often than not, they're people of color. So it's just an incredible morning here in California. Just beautiful weather. And this trail is a whole different creature than the Appalachian Trail. It's so far, it just kind of winds around and very little elevation change. There are some rocks, but enough just to make it interesting. A lot of this desert foliage is in bloom, and it smells so good. It's delightful. So, and plus the scenery is incredible. And because there's not rocks every step you take, you can actually look around and see the area you're hiking in. So, got to watch my water today. There are not many water sources supposedly, but thanks for listening in. We're trekking for Tarzan. Want Charles to hang in there. I'll be talking about him more, and look forward to having you join me as I hike the PCT on my calendar year Triple Crown attempt. So there was a stream down there, and there were about 10 PCT hikers, and I could tell there was a lot of bonding going on, because I was the last one to get there and the first one to take off. But it's fun to see people chatting and getting to know each other and supporting each other on the hike, and that's really important for people that are just starting out. Really sunny. I've got sunblock on, and I'm wearing my hood and trying to protect my skin, but the temperature is delightful. And this is desert, but they had a couple days of rain, and everything has blossomed. It's really colorful. There's berries and acorns, and I bet I see 50 to 100 lizards crossing the trail per mile. They're just all over. I heard coyotes last night, and I see a lot of coyote scat on the trail. I think I saw a rabbit this morning, just caught a glimpse of it, and I see all kinds of furry little creatures darting off into the underbrush. I don't know if they're chinchillas or rats or what they are. I'm not well versed in desert fauna, and I probably won't be by the time I finish, but it's still really interesting. And it's a bit of a green tunnel. I mean, you can see off into the distance really well, so they're pretty good views. But in places, the shrubs are so tall that you can't see beyond them. Still, a lot more views here than on the Appalachian Trail. Way off in the distance, there is a interstate at the base of that mountain, and that's where I'm headed next. So today sometime I should pass underneath that, and on my way to a 30-mile day. We'll see if I make it. Had a really good night. I slept a long time. Got my tent dried out, and it was dry in the morning because I slept under trees. So I'm gonna try and do that as often as I can. The temperature varies so much. I went through this little valley and it was really cold, but I just kept on hiking and made it. Found some good water there. But I'll let you follow me here. I want to do a brief recap of who Charles Raby is, and then I want to talk about his sentencing hearing at trial. Charles Raby was a 22-year-old impoverished kid and he'll admit to this, essentially a third-grade education. Started drinking at age 11, but he was just modeling what he was brought up with. He was an abused child. Anyhow, there was a murder. 71-year-old petite little woman who Charles knew as Miss Franklin, Edna Franklin. But Charles was arrested for the crime on a bogus warrant. There was no physical evidence. There was no forensic evidence. Actually, there was some forensic evidence, but it was suppressed because it proved his innocence. There were no witnesses. There was a coerced confession, and the police used leverage to extract it from him. At trial, there was prosecutorial misconduct, judicial issues, completely inept defense counsel. It was considered a capital crime. So they were essentially determining whether he would be on death row or not. And the prosecutors called the usual people. His ex-girlfriend, who described Charles as completely violent. Then they brought in Charles's stepfather, who abused him, and the stepfather essentially said the same thing. Now the defense, unbelievably, they actually called in an expert witness. This guy was named Walter Quiano, Q-U-I-J-A-N-O. He was a clinical psychologist, and he's famous for, among other things, making the claim that black men are more violent than other races. Now, mind you, this is for the defense. This is a guy that's supposed to help Charles. Anyhow, he did just the opposite. He claimed that Charles was so violent that the only solution was to essentially eliminate him from the face of the earth. And so Charles got put on death row. There's a lot more to the sentencing phase, but those were pretty much the pertinent factors that led to the sentence that Charles received. Crazy trail. That was a major excavation to make this road. I doubt it was for the trail, but that's what it's become. So I stopped for lunch, met 4 guys. One was from the UK, one was from Seattle. Whoa, it looks like it gets a little dicey there. They've got a wall they constructed to keep people from falling off. But expansive views like this are few and far between on the AT. I think they'll become daily occurrences out here though. Good morning. Well, I was on the trail at 5 this morning. Had a good night's sleep. Dry tent. I don't know why it was dry tonight, and because I was out in the open. And that first night, it was soaked from dew. But I'll take it. So, I wanted to tell you about water. There's very little of it. And you don't know when the sources are going to be good or not. And again, I need to get better with far out. It might be a help. Yesterday, there was a trailhead called Sunrise something or other. And it was a 1/4 mile off the trail. So I blew right past it, and a mile or two later I looked at far out, and it didn't look like there were any good water sources coming up. So I turned around and walked back. Bonus miles. And as I was getting toward the water source, somebody came out the other way and said it was a stock tank, and the faucet that filled it wasn't working. And he said he spent half an hour trying to filter 1 liter of water. Had I known that, I would have filled all my bottles at the previous water source, but I didn't. So another kind hiker, I'm going uphill, I'm sure you can tell me huffing and puffing. Another kind hiker told me that if I went down the trail there would be a cistern, and there was good water there, or good flow. Cistern can mean a lot of things. Cistern is just a container for water. But when I got there, sure enough, it was great water. And the spout was big enough for a fire hose, literally. And it had one of those 1/4 turn valves. And there were probably a dozen or more hikers gathered there. They were going to camp there. And they coached me on how to use it, because there was a lot of pressure, so you just needed to tweak it just a little bit. And if you went beyond that, you literally had a fire hose volume of water coming out. And so I filled my water and proceeded down to get a tent site. And that was the steepest grade I've seen on the PCT so far. Most of them have been like this, just barely uphill. So I got lucky, found a water source, and I'm not sure where it came from, so I filtered it anyhow. And I should be good for the day. Hopefully I'll find some so I can cook tonight, but this was a win. The vista I showed you yesterday of the mountains in the background and the flat place, the valley below, well, the trail is taking us down into that valley. A video came out about my night sweat deal and how I figured it out, or how that doctor figured it out. Thank goodness for him. And I've made dietary changes, and I'm not a nutrition expert, and I'm not advocating other people do this. I'm just talking about what has been working for me, because I haven't had any since I made these changes. So it all started because I've lost all my body fat. I have no energy reserves, and so I was trying to get calories into me by eating a lot of simple carbs at night, you know, sugar and goodies, cookies, breads, and stuff like that. So I've cut all those out at night. I mean, I have my Mountain House meals. Mountain House is a company that makes freeze-dried meals. There's lots of other companies that do it. I go with Mountain House because they have bulk, not servings, but bulk supplies, and I can divide them up, and it's a little bit less expensive for me. I need more complex carbohydrates, more slowly digestible stuff. So one thing I did is I take olive oil with me, and I douse my meals with olive oil at night. And it's pretty good. I don't mind it at all. I've never eaten olive oil in the past, but it's working for me now. And then I'll have 2 or 4 tablespoons of peanut butter at night. And then the weird thing is I will get cornstarch and get 2 to 4 tablespoons of that and mix it with water and chug it down. It's not real tasty, but it is slowly digestible, and it doesn't spike my blood sugar and cause that insulin surge, which puts me in hypoglycemia. Then, of course, during the day, I'm still trying to make up for calorie deficit, and so during the day I don't mind eating sweet stuff. Protein bars are not too tasty for me. There's something called Pro Meal that I like. It's full of nuts and natural stuff, and I can't eat anything with artificial sweeteners, because that'll have me looking for privies right and left, and they don't exist on the PCT. I have tuna and tortillas for lunch, crackers, those cheesy crackers or peanut butter cracker packs, just a variety. I get bored with any one thing, so my meals my snacks during the day are pretty constant. I'm eating something almost every hour. My daughter made a special pack for me to carry these in so I don't have to stop. That's one thing, is if you're trying to make miles on the trail, breaks can really add up. And at this point, I really don't need too many breaks. Knock on wood, I'm sleeping completely dry these days, and still able to hike pretty well. So again, I'm not advocating anybody do what I'm doing as far as diets go, but if you start having the night sweats, it could be that you're doing the same thing I am. If you're skin and bones and still pushing yourself, those simple carbs at night are a bad thing. I hope that's in the rear view mirror. I hope you're enjoying the scenery. It's quite a change from the last 3 or 4 months that I've been filming. It's good to have the change. It's good to be on a trail and meet a lot of other people. Although mornings are my special time because I generally don't see anybody out here. I don't know. I get plenty of sleep at night, but I guess these people need, well, a lot of people fix coffee and fancy breakfasts, and I'm not so much into that because, again, if I'm going to do this, I have to be moving, and I'm not a very fast hiker, so I have to be steady. All right, that's it for the nutrition saga. I hope that page is turned, and we'll continue on a trek for Tarzan, who, by the way, I talked to when I was at home getting ready for this. I took a couple days to make some preparations, and I talked to Charles, and he was very thankful for all the people who are listening and voicing support. I wish you all could get to know him, and maybe one day you will. This is a water cache. Very timely, as I had 27 miles, I think, to go till the next one, and I'm not sure my 3 liters would have made it. It is a little before midnight, and my tent is set up amongst some pretty tall shrubs that are blocking some of the wind, but the wind is just gusting and whipping around. And this is not going to be a good sleep. Oh, it happens. It happens. So enjoy your solid walls wherever it is you are. This hasn't been too fun. Talk at you later. I'm on my way to Warner Springs for Resupply. It's a really small town. Don't think I'll be able to get a good meal, but it'll be nice to have food to continue on. It's been interesting to watch the other hikers. There's definitely an international flavor on this trail. I've met people from Israel, the Netherlands, Germany, Finland. A lot of them are struggling. Part of it is that they have a camping mindset rather than a hiking mindset, and consequently their backpacks are really way too big. In fact, yesterday I was hiking along, and on the side of the trail I saw a full-size plush cotton bath towel along with a cable knit heavy sweater, neatly folded and placed along the side of the trail. I'm sure the person is hoping somebody else will pick it up and take it in their backpack, but that's not the case. In fact, it'd probably be better if they took it into town and found a hiker box or donated it, but to leave it on the trail, I'm not sure about that. So Warner Springs will be at about mile 110, and this is day 4. I hope to get another 10 or so in after that, but we'll see how soon I get there and how efficient I can be getting back on trail. Warner Springs is only about a half a mile off the trail, so shouldn't be a lot of extra bonus miles. I learned my lesson last night. In the future, I'm going to consider my camping sites a little more closely and try to get on the leeward side. The wind just battered my tent all night, just whipped the daylights out of it, and consequently I didn't get the best sleep, but it was all right. So lesson learned. Not that I can avoid windy sites all the time, but I'm going to make an effort to do that. This is a cow pasture and it's full of beautiful flowers. There's a rock formation coming up, I think that's called Eagle Rock or something like that. I don't know if I'll stop by. There have been lots of videos of it, and I need to get to the post office soon. That's Eagle Rock. It's kind of eerie. It almost looks like Stonehenge. And there was a huge pack of hikers up there. So I ended up just bypassing it. Maybe a mistake, but I really want to get my package and get out of town and make my mileage. So amazing trail, a lot of soft sand. It's so nice on my feet. The rocks just rip your feet apart, even with the shoes on. They just torque the soles and rack your skin in places you wouldn't believe. So these nice trails are super welcome. Still working my way to Warner Springs, but the scenery has changed so dramatically. This is like a park, and the trail is really wide, way wider than typically what you see on the PCT. I think the reason is there are a lot of day hikers that go to that Eagle Rock place, and so consequently it's much broader and well used. But I'm hearing cars, so hopefully very soon I'll be on the road, and then it should be half a mile to my resupply package.